you'll know. So I got sucked into a post that was on a songwriter forum. It's from a writer who, in my estimation, is pretty clearly a novice, and he's got this new song he's very excited about. Nothing wrong with that. And it's clearly kind of a niche song, and there's nothing wrong with that either. If your vision is to do this thing that kind of reads like, Beowulf, go for it. But you have to know and be a little bit aware that you can, on the one hand, pursue your own vision. Certainly, that's what I like to do, is do what I'm interested in listening to, even if it's not, particular, even if there's something about it that makes it less marketable. Or you can try to market things for a wide audience, or to be, to a wide pool of people who need songs, in which case this kind of song has very little, path forward. That's just sort of context. So what he's done is he feels very excited about the song. Again, nothing wrong with that, and very much like this is going to be a big hit. Nothing wrong with dreaming the dream. We all do that. He has submitted his lyric to AI for evaluation. Here's where I start to be like, I don't know about that. And AI has, come back. His response is, wouldn't you know it? It found the one thing I have to fix, and then this is gonna be perfect. Now, and then he posts he posts what AI gave him, the evaluation, the text of the evaluation, and he posts the text of the lyric that he submitted. So that's why I know that the text of the lyric in my evaluation is not really ready for prime time. And also, to go a layer deeper, it's not really clicking for what it wants to be yet either. If you'd brought this to me as a friend, I'd have a lot of feedback about that. But bigger picture, the AI evaluation, is basically like a puff piece. It was kind of interesting. It's saying, "Oh, you're doing a lot of really interesting things here, and this is really coming together very well." In essence, I see what you're doing, and then it did have like a couple of kind of hollow suggestions about like a myth he referenced. Two myths that he referenced aren't related to each other, which may or may not matter. If your vision is to dance around a bunch of different mythologies, that can be legit. And so that's the thing he thinks he needs to fix. But to me, the bigger alarm is, you're getting a green light where none exists. Like, you're being told, proceed as the train is coming. Like the crossing gate has just lifted and you go out into the middle, and it's, it is not really giving you a fair evaluation of what you've done and what's ahead. That metaphor doesn't work well, and I'm sure the AI would point out to me that the crossing gate is kind of an urgent metaphor that doesn't fit here. So here's what I would say to aspiring writers who find themselves in the same position, tempted to do the same thing, is that in this limited sample size, I'm going to tell you, the AI evaluation was garbage. It was not helpful. It was not targeted. It was not insightful. It sounded like it was, and it very much sounded like its main goal was to soothe his feelings and make him feel good about what he'd written, rather than to actually form any critique. That may or may not be particularly surprising, but the notion that you would turn there and seek to gain some insider advantage, I think, is really questionable, especially at the level that he is, which is he's basically running with, he's like, great, AI, the expert of all experts, has just told me that my song is like one line away from being perfect, the best song ever written, the greatest song I've written, and maybe it is the best song he's written. But here's the thing generally. one of the skills you have to develop as a writer, I've talked about this before, is sort of self-evaluation. That is the most valuable thing you can do. Your self-evaluation is more valuable than any external feedback from other writers, from other listeners, from anybody, including AI. You'll know when it's working. You'll know. Like, and I think that most, serious writers know what I'm talking about. You listen to it, you play it back, you look at it, you start to live with it, and you learn where the rough spots are, and you learn and you remember, I kind of shoehorned this line in. This wasn't the strongest, it was just what I could make work. That's maybe where I need to put some attention. You'll know when you've achieved what you wanted. And if you don't know, then that's where your focus needs to be, is really examining it yourself more closely, thinking about, how can I examine this differently? I'm not sure if this is working. That's a question that's a confusion I almost never have anymore, but I remember having it in the early days of my writing. I don't know if this is working. I don't know if that choice works or not. I don't know if I'm on the right track. Also, I don't know how I can make this more like my vision. I seem to be veering off in this direction, and I wanted to write a Motley Crue song in essence, but it certainly isn't sounding like that. So it's fine and it's normal to have to cultivate that. But you'll know is kind of the moment you've arrived is when you know, when your own barometer is working. So with all due respect, I think this guy, this song is probably like most songs, like most of the songs most of us write. It's not going anywhere. But the lesson here that I would caution other writers is, don't try to delegate the evaluation out. Take that on yourself. That's the key. The key to becoming a better writer is becoming your own most trusted your own most trusted evaluator. Your evaluation is the only one that really matters in the final equation, and you'll know when you're on the right track. So keep at it. Trust yourself. Trust your feelings. Trust the force. See you next time.